Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kim and this is Expedition 3 Pages. So I was very kindly tagged by Amy from A-Star Reads to do the why I haven't read that book tag. And this has been very, I don't want to say stressful, but a little bit of an eye-opener to how many books I have on my shelves that I haven't read for years of my life. They've been there for years and years. The original creator for this tag was from the channel Another Bibliophile Reads, so I will link down to that channel in the description, and also to Amy's channel, who I'm sure most of you watch, but if you haven't seen her videos, you should check her out because she's amazing. She's currently doing this date with a book video series that is so good and I highly recommend. So maybe I'll link down to the intro video for that and you should go watch that because it's a lot of fun. Okay, let's dive in to the mess that is my TBR and books I haven't read yet. So question number one is, why haven't I read this classic? And the one that I have chosen is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I have started this at least once. I've probably started it more than once. The cover is damaged. That's how much I tried to read it. The last time I attempted to read it, I got to page 74. That's where the bookmark is. So that must have been page 74. And I don't know why I haven't read this. This is on my 40 books to read by 40, so I obviously really want to read it. You know, there's reasons why I want to read it. I think there's a couple of reasons though, actually, why I haven't managed to finish it. And I think that's because, number one, I have already seen the movie, so I know what happens. So I guess that makes it less intriguing for myself. Number two, the beginning bit is quite, not slow, but it's set in a school, so I guess it's not it takes a while to get into the story of when she's an adult, I guess. So even though I did enjoy the school part, I obviously didn't enjoy it enough for it to like hold my attention until she leaves, although has she left at this point? I don't know. I can't remember. And number three is probably the editions that I bought them in, because I bought all of the Bronte sisters' works in these Wordsworth editions, and the writing on the page is just so dense and small. And actually, I did read Villette by Charlotte Bronte for a book club earlier this year. I think it was, yeah, this year. And the chapters weren't like this on the page. They actually finished a chapter, there was space, and then there's the next chapter. And for this one, it goes chapter 8, chapter 9, and then carries on. And for me, I just find that kind of off-putting. I don't know why. It just feels relentless when you're reading. So I think the edition of the book is probably why I didn't continue as well. I found it difficult to read in. But I have read and finished Villette, like I said, and also Agnes Grey as well in these editions. And I managed to make it through those books, so I have high hopes that next time I try this, I will make it all the way through. Question number two is, why have I not read this fiction book yet? And this fiction book for me is The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. This is one of the most stunning covers that I've ever seen. I really, really like it. And the storyline sounds really interesting to me. It's two sisters. Are they twins or are they just, yeah, they're identical twins. They grow up together in a small southern black community, and at age 16 they run away. And then you zoom in years later and see what both of their lives look like now. I think one of the sisters is white passing and so is living as a white woman, and her twin sister isn't. And you just get a zoom in on their lives later on in life. And I'm just so interested in this book. It sat on my bookshelf for absolutely ages, and I always look at it and I always want to pick it up. So why haven't I read it? I have no idea. I have no clue. I really want to though. Question number three is, why have I not read this non-fiction book? Now, I can't even get started with my non-fiction books because I went to uni late in life. I started a part-time university degree when I was 25, so it took 6 years to finish. And during the first part of that, actually most of the way through, because I did most of my subjects were physics-based, so I used to always go to Waterstones or other bookshops, go straight to the popular science section and just buy loads and loads and loads of popular science books because I was so interested in it. But I completely oversaturated myself with them because back then I couldn't read a lot like I do now. I was definitely much slower reader than I am now. So I just didn't get through them, and they've just clogged up. And then as my studies went on, the studies got more and more intense, and then I just didn't want to read the popular science books because I was reading my textbooks. You know how it goes. I hope I've done a cutaway to show you how many books I have that is like this, because it's just overwhelming and ridiculous. But one of them that is fairly new on the list, that I can't believe I haven't read, is The Uninhabitable Earth by David Wallace Wells. And I bought this, I think, pretty soon after it came out. Let me just check. Oh my gosh. Okay, this was published in 2019, so it's already old. And I really wanted to read it, like, while it was still very up to date, because it's about climate change, and I just wanted to read it close to the time that it was released. I don't think I've had it since 2019. I hope I haven't had it since 2019. It is the paperback, so I'm assuming I got it 2020 plus whatever. But yeah, I just really want to read this. I think part of the reason I haven't read it yet, again, similar to Jane Eyre, I think is the writing is very small and dense. And also I did read the first couple of pages of the introduction and it sounded absolutely terrifying, because the climate crisis is terrifying. So maybe that's why I haven't picked it up yet, but I do really want to read it. Okay, question number 4 is why haven't I read this insert a genre book here book? And for this, I'm going to use fantasy because that's my favourite genre, and I think one of the series that I own that I have read book 1 of, but I just haven't wanted to pick up the rest yet, is Game of Thrones. And so I have the whole box set of Game of Thrones. It sits on top of my bookshelf and I forget about it. I just forget it's there. And I think what happened with that is in the first lockdown, I watched Game of Thrones for the first time. And we watched all, 8 seasons that summer of lockdown. And it took me a really long time to get into Game of Thrones. I think it wasn't until like season 4 or 5 that I was finally hooked. But then I was hooked, and then I was disappointed by the end, just like everybody else. But because I loved the series so much, I was really excited about getting the box set and getting reading. So I bought it, I read book 1, and I found it really similar, like almost too similar to the series. Like the series did such a good job of adapting it to screen that I'd watched it too recently to reading it. I kind of found it, I didn't find it boring, but it was too soon. I read it too soon. And so I've just left it. Since then, my enthusiasm for Game of Thrones has gone down, and I've heard that the books are kind of boring in parts, and there is no ending to the books either yet. So yeah, I haven't read it. I don't know when I will read it. If you think I should read it, let me know. Okay, and question number 5 is why haven't I read this book that I've owned the longest? I have loads of books on my shelf that I've owned for a really long time, and part of the reason for that is they were in a box at my mum's house, and was it last year or the year before? I think it was the year before. Mum sent me this whole box of books from her house. I'm not sure all of them are mine, but I have them now, so what you can do. And yeah, so I've chosen one of those. I have no idea which book has been on the list for the longest, or when I've got it, or when, you know, I've got so many books from so long ago on my bookshelves that I just can't say which is the longest one. So I've picked the one from, I think it was in that box. I'm pretty sure it was in that box. I picked it because it sits on my bookshelf and just looks at me, and I wonder why I haven't read it. And I always think about picking it up and I never do. And that is Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. I think I'm going to really like it because I think it's time travel-y, and I like reading stories that interconnect together in like a cool way. But that's all I know about it because I have been actively avoiding spoilers for the book. I do know it's a film as well, so I want to watch the film, but I don't want to watch the film before I've read the book. And I don't know why I haven't read this. Like, it's like yellowed pages. They don't look that bad on the screen, but they are pretty yellow. So this says first published in Great Britain in 2004. So sometime since 2004 I've had this book. I don't know why I haven't read it. Well, I guess some of the reason why is if it was in that box, then it wasn't with me for a long time. But I've got no excuse now. I should just pick it up and give it a go. So yeah, that is the end of the tag. Thank you again to Amy for tagging me. Please let me know if you've read any of these books. And if you have, like, do you think I should be prioritizing them? Do you think I should try to get to them as quickly as possible? But yeah, so who am I going to tag? Let me have a think. Okay, so I think I'm going to tag Amanda from The Reading and Writing Life, and also Lee from Lee Mac. If either of you have already done the tag, I would absolutely love to watch the video that you've already done. If anybody else watching the video wants to do it or has already done it as well, I'd absolutely love to hear anybody else's answers. So let me know down in the comments if you have already done this tag. I'd absolutely love to watch it. Okay, I'm gonna go and cry under all my books that I haven't read now. So yeah, I hope everybody has a good day, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care everyone, bye.